Hey everyone, this is Meyer, and in this video what I want to do is show you how you can do sidechain compression for your pads and all your different lead elements here in FL Studio. I'll show you 4 ways to do it, and this is what the general sound sounds like. So without the sidechain compression, it sounds like this. And with it, really helps with that pumping effect. And in the context of the mix, really sounds nice. Now, if you want to hear this project and you want to get access to the masterclass in the project, head on over to Ready for Masterclass. But let's go ahead and get started with doing this. I'm not going to use LFO tool. We're going to do this internally with FL Studio. So the first way is using actual sidechain compression. So what we need to do on the pad bus is pull up the Fruity limiter plugin, which is either a compressor or a limiter, but we're going to use this in its compression option. And what we're going to be using is this sidechain selecting switch, but right now I can't select anything because I haven't routed anything. So what I'm going to do is take my kick channel, which I've routed to the mixer, and I'm going to sidechain it to the pad bus. Now it's important that I don't route it via audio. I need to actually sidechain it. So one way to do this is right click and just click sidechain to this track. Notice how it will create a routing here, but it'll turn the volume all the way down. If this is up, it means audio is going to be sent through as well. This is not what you want. So you can click the button and just turn the volume down, or right click and click sidechain to this track only. Now that it is sidechained, we can go ahead and open up Fruity Limiter, and if we right click, we can then select the sidechain channel that we want. Now what's going to happen is as I play the track, we're going to just hear the pad and we'll see the kick coming in here, and we can adjust the threshold and the ratio as desired. For this, it's often really helpful to turn your ratio all the way up and then just basically bring your threshold down. You can of course adjust the attack and release as desired to get it as pumping as you'd like. There you go, that's way number 1. The next way we can do this is using Fruity Peak Controller. So I'm going to go ahead and delete Fruity Limiter and unroute it from the pad bus. To do this, what we need to do is add a Fruity Balance to the pad. This will basically serve as our sidechain destination. So I'm going to go ahead and open up Fruity Balance, and this is just a glorified volume knob. And what Fruity Peak Controller is going to do is duck the volume of this. Now the reason you want to use this method is you can set up the Fruity Peak Controller on the kick and just add these to all your different channels, which is really nice. So what I'm going to do on the kick is, of course, we're going to set up a Fruity Peak Controller. So what I'm going to do is, by clicking on the kick, find an empty insert slot and load up the Fruity Peak Controller. Now, what's really important here is we want to make sure that this is actually modulating this in the negative direction. So when I take my volume or my Fruity Balance here, I'm going to right click, link to controller, and I'm going to select that the Fruity Peak Controller's peak. You can do peak plus LFO, but we're not using the LFO, so it doesn't matter. So I'm just going to choose peak. And what's really important that you do here is you click accept. Now we could invert this mapping, but I'm not going to do that. We can do it directly here on the peak controller. So just basically select accept. You can turn this smoothing down if you want, but without it, you can just turn it off. You don't need it to do that. So we're going to click accept. And now whenever the kick comes in, we see this. Now this is not what we want. We want it to duck down when the kick comes in. So we need to modulate the volume in the other direction, which means we need to bring the bass up to our default level, which in our case is going to be 0 dB. And then we just need to turn the volume down however much we would want to have this done. So I'm going to start this at 100%. And you can also adjust the tension, which is kind of what this curve looks like. And this decay basically is how quickly it recovers, so increasing this will smooth it out a little bit. Awesome. The third way to do this is just using gross beat. So if I go ahead and get rid of this Fruity Peak controller and I get rid of this Fruity Balance, all we need to do is just find an empty mixer slot on our pad channel. And what I'm going to do is just open up gross beat. And what we want to do in our presets here is just select select patterns and look for there should be just sidechain under here. See if I can find it. There it is. And we can, of course, use this volume knob to control the amount. The cool thing about this is, of course, you can adjust your curve. Just be sure to do it for all of them. That's one nice thing. You can kind of adjust the tension of these if you want it to be like this. The benefit of this method is it's pretty much sample accurate, so you're not actually dealing with the kick pattern and the transient. You can basically draw in the curve you want perfectly. The last way you can do this here in FL Studio is using this free VST called STFU by Zeek Audio. You can head online and download that. We'll provide a link in the description. So basically what this does is it acts kind of like LFO tool in the sense that basically you can draw in the curve that you want to have. Now what I like doing is basically emulating that fact that you're going to have the transient of the kick drum, then the rest of the kick, and eventually it'll come over like this. So this is what the kick is doing. Boom, it's ducking the audio, and when I play it, sounds like that, and you get this nice little volume knob, which you can even automate, which is really cool. There's also just these default presets that they have, but I often like just kind of drawing in my own, like this. You can even crossfade between different envelopes, which is really cool. So this is what this sounds like. Now, the benefit of this, unlike gross beat, is we can even trigger this externally from a MIDI clip. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to basically create a new ghost kick channel. So what I'm going to do is just clone this, and I'm going to paste my kick on. Actually, let me just do this in a new pattern. So this is going to be ghost kick. And what this will basically be is the sidechain trigger. So I'm going to just go ahead and insert a new pattern. And what I want to do is just basically paste my kick there in my ghost kick pattern. That's what I've done here. And we'll see what this does as we're playing the track. But basically what we'll do is we need to replace this instrument with a MIDI out. So I'm going to go ahead and select MIDI out here in FL Studio. And the thing that matters is that you choose a free port. So I'm going to just choose port, 11. 11 is a free port. And what we're going to do is on STFU, we need to go ahead and select its input port to be whichever one we selected, which in our case was number 11. Going back to the overall plugin, all we need to do is set the trigger from sync to note on, and whenever this is playing, it will trigger, but when we don't have this ghost kick, it will not trigger. The great thing about that is that means basically when you have your breakdown, you won't have to worry about automating all of your different sidechain. You just basically have the STFU on all of your channels just receiving its MIDI from whatever port you set up. Sounds great. So hopefully you learned something. Thanks for checking it out, and head on over to Ready for Masterclass for more awesome content.